Strong. I now recognize Ms. Maloy for her 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to witnesses for being here. When you sit this far down on the table, a lot of the things that you plan on asking have already been asked by the time they get to you. But Mr. Dodaro, you talk about the cost savings that you found through your work. In your testimony, you indicated that in fiscal year 24, GAO's work yielded $67.5 billion in savings, and then you testified that you save $123 for every dollar invested in GAO. Where do those cost-saving estimates come from?
Typically, we use third-party estimates. They may come from CBO. They may come from the Congress if the Congress reduces the agency's budget request. So typically, we try to use third-party estimates, and only if those aren't available, we'll make our own estimate, but then we'll run it by the agency. For example, a DOD, if we say that DOD took action on a recommendation, we believe it saved this much, do you agree? And typically, they agree. I believe these estimates are intended to be very conservative and reliable and accurate.
So you also talked about finding fraud and preventing fraud and finding savings. How often do you find an area that's ripe like that and Congress fails to take it up and act on it?
Well, I have a number of open matters for congressional consideration that Congress has not yet acted upon. I'd be happy to provide it for the record. For example, I've recommended for years that the Social Security Administration take the full death master file and provide it to the Treasury Department so we don't pay dead people, all right? And I persuaded the Congress after about 10 years, and right now it's a 3-year pilot. I believe it's already saved millions of dollars, prevented fraud, prevented improper payments, that Congress should make it permanent. That's not yet done. So let's just give you one example. So, Congress has acted in some cases, but in many cases, there's still more that should be done. I've recommended it. I'll provide it for the record.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. I'm also going to have my staff follow up with you.
Be happy to.
Okay.
Yeah, any fan of preventing fraud's a fan of mine.
Okay. Well, I am a fan of that. Mr. Swagel, when my colleague was reading his Chat GPT description of your agency, one of the things that he talked about and you mentioned is the nonpartisan mission of CBO. And I think you have a bit of a perception problem on the Hill about that nonpartisan mission. So I just wanted to ask, how do you, in your hiring practices, try to ensure that you are hiring and training in a way that perpetuates the nonpartisan nature of what you do?
Okay, no, thank you. And it's a key aspect of the agency. I mean, it's really the foundation of what we do is being nonpartisan, not taking policy positions. When we hire, we look carefully at the people we're hiring. Of course, first on the expertise and on the skills they bring, but also to make sure that they are both nonpartisan and seen as nonpartisan. And, look, we treat a 22-year-old we're hiring differently than, a 45-year-old. Just, we understand, sort of the difference between those two. But we look at that carefully when we hire. And after people come on board, we have processes within the agency to scrutinize our work, essentially up and down and across the agency to make sure that we're down the center on the issues.
Okay, well, with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back the rest of my time.